It's certainly entertaining to watch elements of this, and I encourage our viewers to really watch it all. There's a lot to take in. Marc Schulman, author of Tel Aviv Diary and columnist from Newsweek. Good to have you with us on this, Marc. I entered this saying there was a lot to take in. I encourage people to watch it. It was a radically different display, and when these two were in person than I think we'd felt during the campaign or expected. It was surprising. What are your key takeaways watching these two in the Oval Office interact like they did?
Well, I was on a Thursday before the meeting, and I said they would probably get along in the end because they're both populists. And three things stood out. Number one, Trump likes to see other people who do well, in a sense. I mean, those people who do just like he does, politicians that succeed, and he sort of is impressed by this guy. Number two, the guy has charisma. Whatever we think about him, he has charisma, and he had charisma vis-a-vis Trump. And Trump gets impressed in these one-on-one meetings. We see often that his actions on one-on-one meetings has nothing to do with what he does on social media. He cares about New York, and right now he's on an attempt to sort of say, I'm in for affordability because he's in deep trouble right now politically. His numbers are very, very low, and it's mostly about the fact that he didn't succeed in lowering the prices, which was the main thing he ran on. Most people voted for Trump because he promised to lower prices on day one, and of course he's failed completely to do that. So he sort of got on the bandwagon of Mamdani talking about lowering prices. He ignored all the other things. His MAGA base is going crazy about it, or at least a good part of it. I mean, some of his people will follow him regardless, so if he changes his position, they'll change position. But a lot of his base is incensed by what's going on in terms of this. Look, you cannot predict Trump. Anybody who's going to sit here and say, I can predict what Trump is going to do is, don't listen. Don't invite him back on your broadcast, because we cannot anticipate what Trump is going to do in any given area. Perhaps
the moment's less about the president. Perhaps it's more about Mamdani at this moment. Here's the guy who's poised to come in. Trump, after all the Epstein affair and everything else, look, Trump's already being talked about in lame duck capacity, that he's on his way out. Here's Mamdani entering right now, and I think, how's he look to you in this role? Here he is displaying his hostilities to Israel already right up front with this event in a synagogue that was harassed, violent threats outside there. He had no condemnation for that kind of behavior. What are you reading from Mamdani in this moment, coming in?
Look, he's mostly being a pragmatic. You have to look at his and the people he's taken to administration, a lot of long-term political people who've been around New York politics for a long time. There's a lot of young people helping him, but he also has some old hands who know how to make their way around. He decided to keep on Commissioner Tisch as police commissioner. She's not only Jewish, but her mother was in school with me. I know the family a little bit. So the reality is he's keeping that. He's taking a very pragmatic approach. He wants to succeed. Now he hates us. Let's not make any question about that. His hatred of us moves to anti-Semitism. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to decrease. I mean, it's deeply rooted, and we've seen that from other Muslim candidates in the United States, that sometimes it's irrational, but it's there, and we have to accept that's where it is right now. But he's going to try to be a pragmatist. He's probably avoided ICE raids in New York City. He's probably avoided Trump cutting off all sorts of programs of aid to the New York City. He wants to succeed. Yeah. And at the same time, he'll keep on bashing us, and he'll do things that have little impact on New York City in terms of administering New York City, but at the same time will hurt us in terms of our public relations, in terms of how we look. And of course, we'll keep American or New York Jews being very uncomfortable. Will they leave New York? Probably not. But they'll be very uncomfortable.
Well, the doors are open here as that event at the synagogue.
Yes, it's one of these odd things, right? There was an event to increase the aliyah, immigration to Israel, and all his actions are doing exactly that, trying to get people to move to Israel.
His policies are largely what's fueling the anti-Semitic waves, obviously, or his positions, I should say.
His rhetoric is proven. Let's keep it in mind.
Absolutely.
Right.
Marc Schulman, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.